First contact fallout. The galaxy had always been a crowded place, teeming with ancient civilizations that had mastered the stars long before humans had even discovered fire. The Araxian Consortium, with their crystalline ships and telepathic technologies, had ruled the central systems for over 50,000 years. The Volveri Imperium, cybernetically enhanced beings of immense intelligence, controlled the outer rim with ruthless efficiency, and the enigmatic Nexus Collective, a hive-mind species that had transcended physical form, observed everything from their quantum realm. In this grand theater of advanced beings, humanity was nothing but a cosmic afterthought. When the interstellar survey vessel Defiant breached the boundaries of known space, carrying Earth's first official diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council, the reception was less than welcoming. The human ship, a marvel of Earth engineering with its fusion drives and gravitic compensators, looked like a child's toy next to the planet-sized vessels of the elder races. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the ISV Defiant, her dark eyes fixed on the massive station ahead. At 43, she had spent half her life preparing for this moment. First contact with the broader galactic community. What Earth's long-range probes had failed to reveal was just how developed that community already was. Visual communication established, Captain, announced Lieutenant Park, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. They're laughing. Reyes frowned. Explain. The Araxian representative, at least I think that's who it is, seems to find our transmission amusing. They're sharing it with others in what appears to be their command center. Lieutenant Commander Okafor, the ship's exolinguist, adjusted her neural interface. Translation coming through. They're referring to us as primitive carbon units still using verbal communication. They're surprised we managed interstellar travel without evolving beyond our meat shells. Reyes straightened her uniform, a habit from her years in Earth's Space Force. Open the channel. Let's show them that these primitive carbon units have manners. At least. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a chamber filled with beings that defied human understanding. The Araxian representative, a crystalline entity that shimmered with internal light, floated at the center. Greetings from Earth and the United Space Initiative. Reyes began, her voice steady. We come in peace and friendship, seeking diplomatic relations with the galactic community. A chorus of translated laughter echoed through the bridge. How quaint. The Araxian's translated voice sounded like wind chimes. The cosmic infants have learned to speak. Tell me, how many centuries did it take you to discover that stars aren't gods? Reyes maintained her composure. We've brought scientific and cultural data to share. Share, interrupted a Volveri representative, a being of metallic flesh and glowing circuitry. What could you possibly have that we haven't known for millennia? Your species was painting on cave walls when we were engineering solar systems. For 3 days, the diplomatic mission continued like this, a barrage of mockery and dismissal from beings who view humans as amusing pets at best, or bacterial contamination at worst. The Defiant's crew, chosen for their excellence and psychological resilience, began to show signs of strain. In her quarters, Reyes reviewed the situation with her senior staff. They won't even look at our scientific offerings. Dr. Kamala Sharma, the mission's chief scientist, said with visible frustration. We've made discoveries in quantum entanglement that I'm certain are unique. They don't care, interrupted Okafor. Their entire social structure is built around technological seniority. To acknowledge that we might have something to teach them would undermine their hierarchical worldview. Reyes nodded, the weight of Earth's hopes heavy on her shoulders. We didn't come all this way to be treated like children at the adults' table. There has to be a way to earn their respect. The opportunity came sooner than expected. During the 4th day of their increasingly futile diplomatic efforts, alarms blared throughout the enormous station. What's happening? Reyes demanded as her crew rushed to their stations. Park's hands flew across his console. Massive energy surged from the nearby star. Some kind of solar flare, but different. The aliens are in full emergency mode. On screen, The once orderly council chamber had erupted into chaos. Even the normally composed elder races showed signs of panic. Okafor listened intently to her translation feed. The star is exhibiting signs of premature nova activity, something called a quantum cascade failure. Their predictive models gave no warning. Reyes turned to Sharma. Doctor, the scientist was already reviewing data streams. It's a type of stellar instability we theorized but never observed. The star's quantum field is collapsing in on itself, causing nuclear fusion to accelerate exponentially. If it continues, can we help? Reyes asked. Sharma hesitated. Maybe. Our work on quantum field stabilization was purely theoretical, but get a team together. Now. Reyes turned back to the communication station. Lieutenant, inform the council that we're offering assistance. The Araxian representative's response was immediate and dismissive. Your primitive technology would be useless. This is a quantum-level event beyond your comprehension. Reyes leaned forward. With respect, we've done extensive research on quantum field stabilization. Dr. Sharma believes we may have a solution. The vermin offers to teach stellar engineering to the masters of galaxies. The Volteri representative scoffed. Your arrogance exceeds your ignorance. But as the situation deteriorated over the next hours, with the station's shields straining against increasingly violent solar emissions, the Council's options dwindled. In the Defiance Science Lab, Sharma and her team worked feverishly, adapting their theoretical models to the current crisis. It could work, Sharma explained to Reyes, pointing to simulations on her display. We'd need to deploy quantum resonators at specific points around the star to reinforce the weakening fields. The math checks out. But we'd need their help to manufacture and deploy the resonators, Reyes noted. Sharma nodded. And they'd have to listen to us first. When Reyes returned to the council with Sharma's findings, the reception was still hostile but tinged with desperation. The quantum cascade was accelerating faster than predicted, threatening not just the station but several inhabited systems. You expect us to follow the guidance of beings who only recently discovered space travel. The Araxian representative said, its crystalline form vibrating with what Reyes now recognized as anxiety. I expect you to recognize a viable solution regardless of its source, Reyes replied firmly. Or would you rather maintain your superiority while worlds burn? A tense silence followed. Finally, a new voice spoke, the representative of the Nexus Collective, who had remained silent until now. We have analyzed their proposal. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The approach is unconventional, but our models suggest a 68% probability of success, which exceeds our current alternatives. The admission sent ripples of shock through the council chamber. The humans may proceed, the Nexus representative concluded. We will provide the necessary resources. What followed was a frantic collaboration unlike anything in human or alien history. As Dr. Sharma's team worked with reluctant alien scientists, they discovered something unexpected. Human intuitive leaps and creative problem-solving complemented the aliens' vast knowledge and computational power. You approach problems. Strangely, a Volteri scientist admitted to Sharma as they calibrated a quantum resonator. You make connections that our logical processes wouldn't consider. That's the human advantage. Sharma replied with a small smile. We evolved to see patterns even when they're not obvious. With the resonators deployed and the quantum stabilization underway, the council chamber watched in tense silence as the star's violent emissions gradually subsided. The crisis wasn't over, but for the first time, there was hope. Reyes stood beside the alien representatives, watching the telemetry data. Sometimes the newest perspective sees what experience overlooks, she said quietly. The Araxian representative's crystalline form shifted in a way that might have been acknowledgement. Perhaps, it conceded, your species has potential. It wasn't friendship or even respect. Not yet. But as the Defiance crew continued to work alongside beings who had once mocked them, something fundamental had changed. Humanity had proven not that they were equal to the elder races in knowledge or technology, but that they brought something unique to the galactic community. And in a universe of ancient wonders and terrors, being unique was perhaps the most valuable trait of all, the unconventional victory. The quantum stabilization of the star had bought them time, but not a solution. As the ISV Defiant entered its second week at the Galactic Council station, Captain Alina Reyes found herself in an unprecedented position. Humans were no longer being openly mocked, but were now part of a desperate, multi-species effort to prevent a stellar catastrophe. The resonators are holding, but the quantum cascade is adapting, Dr. Sharma reported during the morning briefing. Dark circles under her eyes revealed that she, like most of the science team, had barely slept in days. The star's internal structure is becoming increasingly unstable. The aliens? Reyes asked. Lieutenant Commander Okafor shook her head. The Araxians are focused on evacuation contingencies. The Volveri are attempting to strengthen the resonator fields using conventional methods. The Nexus Collective. It's hard to tell what they're doing, but they seem to be running simulations. None of them are looking at the root cause, Sharma said with frustration. They're treating the symptoms, not the disease. Reyes leaned back in her chair, considering. The initial crisis had forced the elder races to accept human help, but their ancient prejudices remained. They included humans in their efforts but rarely listened to their suggestions. What do you think is the root cause, Doctor? Reyes asked. Sharma brought up a holographic model of the star. It's not natural. The quantum field destabilization is too uniform, too precise. I've been analyzing the pattern, and there's a signature to it, like a fingerprint. Are you suggesting this was deliberate? Park asked, incredulous. Not necessarily deliberate, Sharma clarified. But I believe it was caused by some kind of technology interacting with the star's quantum fields. The pattern resembles what we might see from a failed attempt at energy harvesting. The revelation sent Reyes immediately to the council chamber, where representatives from 24 species were engaged in heated debate about evacuation priorities. The star is being affected by technology, Reyes announced, interrupting the proceedings. Protocol be damned. This was too important. The chamber fell silent, all attention turning to the human captain. Dr. Sharma has identified a pattern in the quantum cascade that suggests technological interference. Reyes continued. We believe the star's instability may be caused by some form of energy harvesting equipment. The Araxian representative's crystalline form pulsed with what Reyes had learned to recognize as skepticism. Impossible. No authorized technology operates within the star's energy envelope. Authorized or not, the evidence suggests otherwise. Reyes countered, nodding to Sharma, who projected her findings onto the chamber's central display. The Volveri representative, whose cybernetic enhancements gleamed under the chamber lights, stepped forward to examine the data. The pattern is concerning. But if such technology exists, it would be deeply embedded in the star's core. No known method could safely reach it. Then we need an unknown method, Reyes said simply. What followed was a heated debate among the elder races, with proposed solutions ranging from controlled nova detonation to quantum field manipulation on a scale that would risk the entire sector. Throughout, the human delegation was largely ignored, until Reyes once again broke protocol. We have an idea, she announced, her voice cutting through the arguments. And I believe it's the only viable option we have. The chamber didn't fall silent this time. Instead, a wave of dismissive chatter swept through the alien representatives. But the situation had deteriorated enough that the council leader, a Nexus Collective entity, gestured for Reyes to continue. Dr. Sharma has developed a method to identify and neutralize the technology causing the cascade, Reyes explained. But it requires a direct approach. A vessel must enter the star's corona and deploy specialized equipment. Suicide, the Volveri representative stated flatly. No ship could survive those conditions long enough to complete such a mission. The Defiant can, Reyes said with quiet confidence. Our heat shielding was designed for close solar observation. With modifications, we believe we can survive in the corona for approximately 8 minutes, enough time to deploy Dr. Sharma's neutralization device. The audacity of the proposal silenced even the most vocal critics. The elder races exchanged looks of disbelief and reluctant calculation. You would risk your vessel and crew? The Araxian representative asked, genuine curiosity in its translated voice. To save billions of lives. Without hesitation, Rise replied. After intense debate and scrutiny of the human plan, the Council reached a remarkable consensus. They would allow the humans to attempt their mission, with support from alien technology to enhance the Defiant's chances of survival. The preparations were frantic. The Volturi provided advanced shielding modifications that would have taken human engineers decades to develop. The Araxians contributed quantum-resistant materials for the neutralization device. Even the Nexus Collective offered computational support, running trillions of simulations to optimize the mission profile. Throughout, Rise noticed a subtle shift in how the aliens interacted with her crew. There was still skepticism, but also a growing fascination with the human approach. Your species embraces risk in a way ours has forgotten, a Volturi engineer commented as they worked on the Defiant's shield modifications. We calculate until certainty approaches totality. You leap. It's how we've survived, Rise explained. On Earth, we've always faced challenges beyond our technology. We adapted by taking calculated risks. As the final preparations concluded, Reyes gathered her volunteer crew. The mission would require minimal personnel. Herself, Dr. Sharma, Lieutenant Park at navigation, and Chief Engineer Ortiz to manage the ship's systems. We all understand the risks, Rice told them. If anyone wants to remain behind, now is the time to say so. No one spoke. Instead, Sharma smiled wryly. The aliens think we're crazy, you know. They can't understand why we'd risk ourselves when evacuation is still possible. They've forgotten what it means to be the underdogs, Ortiz said, patting the bulkhead affectionately. But the Defiant hasn't, nor have we. The launch countdown began with the station at full alert. On the bridge, Rise settled into her command chair, feeling the familiar hum of the Defiant's systems through the deck plates. Final system check, she ordered. Engines at 100%. Ortiz reported from engineering. Modified shields ready for activation on your command. Navigation plotted and locked. Park added. We'll have a 7-second window to achieve optimal insertion trajectory. Neutralization device primed and ready, Sharma confirmed. If my calculations are correct, we'll only get one shot at this. Reyes nodded, taking a deep breath. Commence launch sequence. Communications, inform the Council we are proceeding. The Defiant detached from the station, its engines flaring to life as it accelerated toward the roiling surface of the destabilized star. On screen, the solar surface grew larger, a churning sea of plasma and magnetic storms made more violent by the quantum cascade. Entering Corona in 30 seconds, Park announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Activate modified shields, Rise ordered. The ship shuddered as the enhanced shielding engaged, creating a protective bubble of energy around the Defiant. Outside, the temperature rose to levels that would vaporize conventional materials in microseconds. Shield strength at 92% and holding, Ortiz reported. Better than expected, but the decay rate will accelerate the deeper we go. Time to target, Rise asked. 3 minutes, 17 seconds, Park replied. Still within our survival window. As the Defiant plunged deeper, the ship's systems strained against the incredible forces surrounding them. Alerts chimed as backup systems engaged automatically, compensating for primary systems pushed beyond their limits. We're detecting the source, Sharma announced suddenly, her eyes fixed on her instruments. It's not what we expected. The energy signature is ancient, at least 10,000 years old. An abandoned mining operation, Rice suggested, remembering the Volturi's mention of energy harvesting. No, Sharma said, wonder in her voice. It's a ship. A massive ship, embedded in the star's convection layer. It appears to have crashed there millennia ago, and its power core is still active, interfering with the star's quantum fields. The revelation was startling, but there was no time to process it fully. The Defiant had reached its deployment point, deep within the star's churning interior. Deploying neutralization device, Sharma announced, activating the launch sequence. From the Defiant's underside, a specialized probe detached, propelling itself toward the ancient wreckage. Designed with Araxian quantum-resistant materials and human ingenuity, it would attach to the derelict vessel's power core and systematically shut it down, stopping the cascade at its source. Probe on target, Sharma confirmed. Neutralization sequence initiated. For a tense moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, the violent fluctuations in the star's output began to subside. It's working, Sharma said, her voice tight with controlled excitement. The quantum fields are stabilizing. Shield strength at 41%, Ortiz warned. We need to start our exit burn now, Captain. Agreed. Lieutenant Park, get us out of here, Rise ordered. The Defiant's engines roared to life once more, fighting against the star's immense gravity. The ship shuddered and groaned, pushed to its structural limits as it clawed its way back toward the surface. Shield strength at 27%, 18%. Ortiz continued his countdown, tension evident in his voice. Divert auxiliary power to shields, Rise commanded. Everything we can spare. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power was redirected. Outside, the fury of the stars seemed to reach for them, tendrils of plasma lashing against the failing shields. Shield strength at 9%. We're cutting it close, Captain, Ortiz warned. Distance to Corona exit, Rise asked, her knuckles white on the armrests of her chair. 47 seconds, Park replied. We'll make it. Barely. The final seconds of their escape were measured in racing heartbeats and failing systems. As the Defiant burst from the star's corona, its shields collapsed entirely, its hull temperature approaching critical levels. Emergency cooling protocols, Rise ordered. All power to radiator arrays. Slowly, the temperature began to drop as the Defiant put distance between itself and the star. On the main viewer, the once violent stellar surface had calmed, returning to its natural state as the quantum cascade subsided. We did it, Sharma whispered, disbelief and exhaustion in her voice. We did, Rise agreed, allowing herself a small smile. Send a signal to the Council. Let them know the threat has been neutralized. The response from the station was immediate and unprecedented. Rather than the dismissive or reluctantly grateful acknowledgement they expected, the Defiant received a transmission on all frequencies, broadcast throughout the sector. The Galactic Council acknowledges the service of the human vessel Defiant. Their actions have preserved countless lives and demonstrated courage beyond measure. All species of the Council extend their gratitude. When the Defiant docked at the station, its hull still cooling from its solar plunge, the reception was unlike anything the crew had imagined. Representatives from every species lined the docking bay, a gesture of respect that transcended their differences. The Araxian representative approached Reyes as she stepped off the Defiant. Its crystalline form shifted in what she now recognized as a formal bow. We have existed for 50,000 years, it said, its translated voice solemn. In that time, we have forgotten something that your species still remembers, that greatness is not measured by age or technology, but by the willingness to risk everything for others. The Volteri representative stepped forward next. The Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity full membership status, the first species to receive such recognition without centuries of probationary status. Reyes glanced at her crew, seeing in their exhausted faces the pride of a mission accomplished against impossible odds. We accept, she said simply, and we look forward to what we can learn from each other. As the human delegation followed the Council representatives into the station, Reyes reflected on their journey. They had arrived as cosmic afterthoughts, mocked and dismissed by beings who had mastered the stars before humans had mastered fire. They departed as equals, not because they had matched the aliens' technological prowess, but because they had demonstrated something the elder races had lost in their eons of dominance: the courage to face the impossible, the creativity to solve problems from new angles, and the heart to risk everything for the greater good. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not by being the most advanced, but by being the most human. And in a galaxy of ancient wonders, that was perhaps the greatest wonder of all.